Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a winter storm which is going to be moving from the Rockies into the upper Midwest, and then we're going to also be talking about a severe weather event related to this storm that's going to be taking place over parts of the south central United States. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. It is actually quite active today. We have some winter weather advisories back through parts of the Pacific Northwest, as well as some more winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, and even a couple winter storm watches in effect for parts of Colorado and New Mexico. We have red flag warnings in effect for parts of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, as well as another area for parts of North Dakota and Montana. We have wind advisories for a little bit of California, Arizona, and then all the way up through parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas as well. We have high wind watches in effect for parts of western Texas as well, and other than that, we don't have many other watches or warnings currently ongoing. Yesterday, we had a ton of tide records for the high temperature. Yesterday, the national high temperature was 86 degrees, tied in 4 areas in El Centro, California, where they got to 86 degrees. Phoenix, Arizona, they got to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Cibola, Arizona, they also got to 86 degrees. And 2 miles southwest of Parker, Arizona, they also got to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The national low temperature was also tied between 3 areas. Island Pond, Vermont, they got to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. 12 miles northeast of Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, they got to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And Van Buren, Maine, they also got to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the first above zero national low temperature since the year started. So this is the first above zero low temperature since the year started and of 2020 in general. The highest precipitation or rainfall report was in Wyandotte Lake, Washington, where they got 2.31 inches of rainfall, and the highest snowfall report was 1 mile southwest of Mammoth Mountain, California, where they got 14 inches of additional snowfall. So here's what the GFS model is showing for this storm, and we're going to play this out for you guys, and then we're going to look at a couple other models and what they're showing. To start off, we have a little bit of a very weak high pressure back up through parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. Your low pressure is back down through here, and then we have another high pressure which is stretching back through into parts of the Northeast and the Ohio Valley. So that's creating kind of a little pocket that this system can ride through, which would be generally anywhere between these two arrows right here is where this storm could move through, because we have the high pressure to the north, the high pressure to the east. It's going to basically funnel the system right within that corridor through Iowa into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then back up through into Canada. So if we continue this forward, that would be by tomorrow morning. Here to be by tomorrow night, and we're dealing with a lot of rain for parts of the Central Plains, but not a lot of snow. And you're going to see that the GFS model, especially, and some of the overnight models, have really went down on the snowfall totals, and this is going to just be reflected on what the GFS is showing right now. Here to be by Tuesday morning, still all rain according to this model. We have that about 32 degrees line, or basically your freezing line right through here. So you can see that much of the storm is south of that 32 degree or freezing line, and that's indicating that we're probably going to be all rain through Tuesday morning into the afternoon hours, maybe even into the evening hours. You might have to wait until Wednesday morning before you actually get into any of the snowfall. You can see that by Wednesday morning, we have a little bit of snowfall back through a little bit of northeastern Minnesota and southern Canada as well, but it's all rain still for parts of Wisconsin, Michigan, back through southern and central Minnesota, northern Iowa as well, and then as some more cold air gets dragged in on the backside of the system because of the rotation of the storm, we are going to be able to get a little bit more lake effect or back-end snowfall on the back end of the system, and that could lead to maybe some light 1 to 3 inch accumulations on the back end of the storm. Here to be what the European model is showing for this event, and you can see it's generally a 1 to 4 inch accumulation according to the European model. If we look at the next model, here's what the GFS model is showing. We're looking at 1 to 3 inches as well, but it's a little bit more confined. Now, I'll go back to what the European model was showing, and you can see how it's a little bit more expanded over parts of northeastern Minnesota. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a fairly isolated event. If you live anywhere north of this line right here is where you could be dealing with some light 1 to 3, maybe 2 to 4 inch accumulations in some of these areas, but you go back through the Rockies, and that's where we're dealing with the really heavy snowfall. You can see in parts of central Colorado, we're dealing with a lot of snowfall, especially in higher elevations, but even in some of the lower lying areas, still getting about 4 to 10 inches of snowfall or more in some of those areas. And then here's the GFS model just for another look. We're going with basically 2 to 4 inches in the northernmost part of Minnesota. So here's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing, just to kind of transition over to the severe weather aspect of this event, because we could have some minor severe weather, and I do want to touch on that for those people who do live in the south central part of the country. This is for today, so we really don't have too much of a risk of thunderstorms, maybe just some lightning or thunder, and you can see that for southern Nebraska, western Kansas, eastern Colorado, and northwestern Oklahoma. That's where we're dealing with a general thunderstorm risk, and that would be for today all the way through tomorrow early in the morning. Here would be what the Storm Prediction Center is showing for tomorrow. So this would be tomorrow morning through Tuesday morning, and we're dealing with a general thunderstorm risk, which covers much of Texas, western Louisiana, western and central Arkansas, much of Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, and back through western Missouri as well. And then we have a little dot where we have a marginal thunderstorm risk, and that's for southern and central Oklahoma, as well as for northern and central parts of Texas as well. If we look at some of the individual risks, here's what your hail outlook looks like. And we have about a 5% chance of any hail occurring over this area in the dark green. So not a huge chance. It looks like even if you did get a little bit of hail, it will be light hail and or kind of small hail. We're not dealing with anything of huge significance. Just something that I want to point out for you guys, because you might hear a little bit of thunder and lightning move through your area if you live within Texas, Oklahoma, and some of the surrounding areas. And this would primarily be for tomorrow when we'll have the highest threat. And if we look at the wind outlook, you can see that we also have a 5% chance within that area. Within that exact same area, we also have a 5% chance of wind damage for those areas that live in northern, for those people who live in northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. If we're looking at the excessive rainfall outlook, you can see that we have 4 parts of Iowa, Nebraska, back through Kansas, Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, northwesternmost Louisiana, and then back through western Arkansas. You can see that we do have that marginal 5 to 10% risk of getting some flash flooding, and that's from Monday through Tuesday, so from tomorrow into Tuesday. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video, but I also do have a couple of announcements to make. The first announcement is that we're going to have your spring forecast coming out sometime between March, the last couple of days of March, and then into April 1st. So sometime within that time period, we're going to have your spring forecast come out. That's going to include your temperature forecast, your precipitation anomaly forecast, and also your overall forecast in that video. We're also going to have your hurricane forecast out, your first preliminary hurricane season forecast. That'll go over how many hurricanes I'm expecting, where I'm expecting the most hurricanes, and so on. So we're going to be covering that. Also, within that same time frame, late March into early April is when that should also be taking place. I will be looking into whether I will revamp my hurricane graphics. So if you guys do want to see that, just let me know. And I'm definitely going to be posting some preliminary example maps of what my forecast will look like. And then I'll kind of see which ones that you guys like the most, and then I'll kind of stick with that type of design. And also I will be coming out with my April forecast, and that'll be probably either April 1st or the last day of March. So one of those 2 days is when I'll come out with my April forecast. So the last days of March and the first days of April is when we're going to have about 3 different long-range forecasts. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that, and hopefully you guys are excited for those forecasts to come out. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, sharing it with your friends or family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.